Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to our international press review here on France 24 in the papers today with Nadia Shabi. Nadia, where would you like to start?
In Zimbabwe, or in fact all over the world, with covers in the press today on Mugabe's demise. The UK's Independent has the headline "Endgame." In South Africa, the Citizen Mugabe to go. Bield, South Africa again, the end for Mugabe. So really, all the papers have this, especially in South Africa, obviously, have this as their front page. And in South African daily, The Times, there's this interesting editorial. It could be Zim's second independence, is the headline, written by Tony Namate, a Zimbabwean writer and political commentator in Harare. He gives an incisive point of view on what he hopes will be the second coming of independence. His article is peppered with dark humour. It's a really good read. According to him, tension in the country is so thick you can touch it. Never before has a nation waited for independence in this way, with bated breath. The commentator concludes on a bittersweet note. He says that some of those who smell victory for the opposition, obviously, are in faraway lands. They will not be there when the moment of truth comes, either because they were hounded out of the country or because they have too much to lose if they go back.
First, it's worth remembering, of course, the first independence was brought on by Mugabe himself. He now appears to have become almost the pariah of Zimbabwean society. It's quite a strange sort of change of events there. What's next?
Algeria, El Watan, that makes the comparison with Kenya and the conflict that came after the elections there, and it fears a repeat of the Kenyan situation. El Watan takes a step back and questions how a man like Mugabe got to power and stayed in power for so long, what kind of support he enjoyed to be able to do that, especially in a country, as you said, that was celebrated throughout Africa for having won its independence from colonialism and
Does
segregation.
El Watan point out that there's not the same kind of tribal divide in Zimbabwe as there is in Kenya?
Of course, but there is, again, the idea in El Watan is that the West is to blame and has a part to play in this. It lists all the African countries that have been torn apart by similar conflicts, and El Watan says the international community may find it's failing to assist populations in danger.
Yeah.
So quite a heavy charge there.
OK, El Watan picking on the easy target, blaming the West. What's next?
The US and the never-ending democratic primaries.
Yes, this is a never-ending story, isn't it?
It really is. And quite fittingly, Spain's El País has this headline: Hillary se compara con Rocky Balboa.
Fantastic.
I know. Hillary compares herself to Rocky Balboa, the scrappy underdog boxer from Philadelphia that was portrayed by Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester
Stallone.
Celebrity Everton FC Football Club fan. There we go, carry on.
In the 1976 Oscar-winning movie, yesterday, Clinton announced that she was not about to quit the fight for the Democratic nomination, and referred to the film's famous training scene, saying that imagine if Rocky had gotten halfway up those Art Museum steps and said, "Well, I guess that's about far enough." And she says she will not give up. El País notes that the Casablanca hopeful, that's White House in Spanish, didn't mention that Rocky actually lost his first big fight. All that Sylvester Stallone is actually throwing his heavyweight behind. Do you know who?
Tell me.
John McCain.
That doesn't kind of figures, He's got Republican written all over him, let's face it. But I've got this image in my mind of Hillary Clinton, like with the gloves on, sort of like hitting the heavy bag.
Well, that would be one way of sorting it out, wouldn't it?
Quite good fun,
Absolutely. And to be perfectly balanced, we also looked at Obama.
Oh, I love this balance. Keep going.
I know, it's fantastic. Well, we can't not. And Barack Obama's balancing act in the South African Times, again. He's bound to get in trouble, says the article. He has to tell white America what it wants to hear to get its votes, while the authenticity of his message rests in a tone of voice that can only be masked for so long. How can Obama condemn racism and the systems that cause slavery and oppression without seeing white America turn on him, is the question here. And it's an interesting point of view on the difficulty of allaying white fears while confronting racism, especially coming from a post-apartheid country.
Sure. OK, Nadia, we've got to leave it there, I'm afraid, but thank you for that look at the world's press. You're watching France 24. Stay with us.